Welcome to the channel. Now, can you use Sellerboard for accounting on Amazon FBA or eBay or whatever you're using Sellerboard for? That's what I'm going to dive into in this video. If you don't know who I am, I've sold millions on Amazon to get the credibility out the way. Recently sold my brand for 6 figures. I'm now building up a new brand. So I've got a lot of experience using the right tools, the right software. A lot of accounting and stuff obviously has been done within that period as well. Now, I see this question going around a lot. Can you use Sellerboard for accounting? I'm going to go inside the software in a minute and show you exactly how I use it and what I use it for. And I'm going to answer the question and tell you exactly, if you follow right through to the end of the video, how I do my books using part Sellerboard, part accounting software. So straight away, let's dive into the question. I don't believe that you should use Sellerboard only for the purposes of accounting. And the reason for that is that any big seller that I know, anyone that's doing millions or at least hundreds of thousands in the higher echelons, obviously of the monetary value near the million, most people that are doing that use Sellerboard as a 90% check on profit. And what I mean by that is, as I'm going to show you in the software in a minute, if you input your costs correctly, on the expenses tab, which I'll show you in a minute on Sellerboard, then Sellerboard is taking off all of the fees, all of the shipping, etc. If you've got your cost of goods input correctly, if you've got your VAT input correctly, which I'm going to show you in a minute how to do that. If you input everything correctly inside Sellerboard, then it gives you, I'd say, a 90% accuracy on your profit and how much you are making. Here's what it doesn't show you. It doesn't show you your real profit and loss, because all Sellerboard is doing, it's got your cost of good, as in the item that you've purchased, you enter the cost of good, you ship items, and it gives you a monetary value of how much you've got in your business on Sellerboard as well. I'll show you all this in a minute inside the tool. It shows you all of the value of your business. It shows you how much you make per day, per week, per month, per year, etc., which I'll show you. But what it doesn't take into account is a profit and loss statement. And a profit and loss statement isn't just in an e-commerce product-based business, isn't just like an agency where you have X amount of clients, you sell an X amount of clients per month, you minus the staff fees if you've got a few softwares, and then what's left over is net profit. Because you're constantly reinvesting into this stock-based business, and I found this really hard to understand when I started, because you're reinvesting into this stock-based business, you have to be very careful to not be under the assumption that you're in profit when you're not, because you've always got stock tied up in a stock-based e-commerce business. Let's say if you sell 20,000 in 1 week, and you're left with net 1,000 in profit for 5,000, for example, it's not like you're allowed to just take that 4,000 or 5,000 in that month and pay yourself, because you're constantly reinvesting. You've got money in stock that's not even arrived yet. You've got money in product development, new products, etc. So it becomes a bit more tricky than a normal everyday like carpenter or Tyler or something like that, or an agency like I just mentioned. Let me show you inside Sellerboard in a second and how we use it alongside other accounting tools. Now, the accounting tools we use, so obviously one is Sellerboard, and get a 2-month free trial to that below. Give it no credit card required. Test that out. I've been using that literally for 7 years. I promise you, ever since I started in this journey. I still use it now. I've got a new account for my new business. The next tool we use is Xero, and Xero brings you a real profit and loss connected to your bank account. So you should be using Xero against this as well, because the Xero, along with a decent accountant, unless you're going to do the books yourself, which, more power to you if you know how to do that, alongside your e-commerce specialist accountant, you should be using Xero, and then link my books. I use Sellerboard as like a 90% sure of how much profit I'm making, but I always know in the back of my head, and anyone that uses this as well, we're not 100% making the profit it shows on Sellerboard because of the things that I just mentioned. So that's why you use Xero as well. Use Link My Books, unless there's any alternatives that are on the market at the moment. We've always used Link My Books and Xero. I think Xero might do the Link My Books part as well now, because they've upgraded their stuff, but you at least need Xero. You need an accountant to walk you through this stuff that actually has Amazon experience. Otherwise, they will treat it like I just told you, where it's just like an agency, money in, money out, and they will be making a lot of mistakes, not putting in the correct reports, etc. Pull all of this information together, use Sellerboard as a basis of profit, which you need to know this stuff You need Sellerboard. You need a tool like Sellerboard because you need to know general daily, weekly, monthly, how well you're doing and how much the cost of good per product is, for example, and a rough idea of your profit, because you can't get a profit and loss unless you're a big company every month or every 3 months. It's more going to be every 3 to 6 to 12 months. You're going to get a real profit and loss at your end of year or every VAT quarter. So that's how we use it. Let me show you inside Sellerboard right now for those that want to go a little bit further and how we use it to track our expenses. But yeah, you need to be using this alongside Xero. Do not use this as your only accounting tool. As we're inside Sellerboard now, this is a demo account. You can see this by clicking on my link below, the 2-month free trial. Hit this demo if you want to check it out before you sign up. As I say, no credit card required, so it doesn't matter anyway if you want to give it a go. So this is the dashboard, right? And I'm going to show you the way that we use it when we're running our Amazon business. So as I say, it's about 90% accuracy in my head. That's the way that I think about it. And for example, last year, I think we did 156,000 net profit according to our accountant and Xero. Sellerboard probably showed 10 to 15% more than that. So, it's not, and what that means is you've got stock that's inbound that hasn't yet hit yet. You've got stock that you've purchased that you haven't yet sold yet. So if you take all that sort of stuff into account, that's what Sellerboard won't show you, right? Let me just show you how let's look at last month. So here, for example, most people would look at that and go, oh, we've got 9,363. That includes, let's say, all indirect expenses, which I'll show you in a minute. And they might think they can pay themselves that. As I say, the reason you can't is because let's say you've bought £25,000 worth of stock that month as well. You would actually be negative profit, let's say 15,000. But because you're using Sellerboard, you think you're in profit, right? Only Sellerboard. Now, absolutely, you could still pay yourself a proportion of this, but I wouldn't pay myself anywhere near this unless I got to a stage where I had a lot of surplus cash in the business and we weren't building the business. You can only really pay yourself, let's say 60, 70, 80% of this once you're not trying to grow the business. You've been running for a few years and it's all reinvesting, and then you can pay yourself. If you're in an aggressive growth mode, you definitely can't count this as profit. So it is profit, but it's not yet realized profit. That's what I'm saying. This is not yet realized profit until you're at a bit of a future place, if you like. But you must, once you get going, once you've got, a year, 2 years in the game, then you can count that as some sort of profit, and you should pay yourself a percentage of that. So you're making this, just to confirm, you're making this net profit as long as you've put all your indirect expenses, which I'll show you in a second. But it's not as easy as just paying yourself all that, because it's an e-commerce business and there's money all over the place in stock. So we look at this. I would look at a month, and I would generally pay myself, if I wasn't in an advanced growth stage, maybe 30 to 35% of net profit. But that's after I've been going for a year, year and a half, right? I was actually paying that when I've been gone for many, many years. When you go to the product section here, that's when you can go ahead and type in your cost of goods, and then you can do cost of goods per period, per batch. A lot of people say, what happens if I buy a product and it changes price in 6 months? Well, that's fine, because you enter it by period here, and then it will only charge you per period that you've had that. You can also add your indirect expenses, and these are going to come off the panels in the dashboard as well. Let's say your email, your Google ads, your internet and telephone accounting bill, or something like that. So you need to use this, guys, against your accounting software, right? I personally don't look at the LTV. I personally don't look at the cash flow. I let my accountant do that. It's handy to have, but I let my accountant do all this. The reports we get from Amazon, we get our accountant to do it. I also use this for the PPC to look at the dashboard there, see how your PPC is performing. You could do the automation log for your PPC as well, get a really good cost there, and that'll all come off your dashboard as well. The dashboard, by the way, guys, also shows you a breakdown per day, per month, etc. You can type in by period, and you can do custom range for the last year or even further. You can look at your month to date. Breakdown of the Amazon fees is all there. So literally everything is here. The only reason you can't count this as an Amazon software is because it's not doing a profit and loss. I hope that makes sense. If you want any more clarification on that, you need to speak to an accountant, okay? You can also go on the inventory here. Look at the inventory planner. This is literally my favorite part of Sellerboard. Go on the inventory planner, and then it shows you how much your business is worth, basically. So let's pretend that we haven't bought loads of stock and it's en route at the moment, on the route to the prep center, not yet sent to FBA. If all of your stock has been sent to FBA, let's say almost 2,800 units, it shows you the potential profit, it shows you the cost of good, which it's actually worth, and the potential sales there. So it gives you a whole summary there, which I love. It's got the FBA shipment, so you can go ahead and claim any shipments that are not fully fulfilled there, for example, make a claim with Amazon. And the most beautiful part of this whole thing is this money back section down here. So like I just showed you with the shipments and also the lost and damaged, say if you sell an item, it gets returned and you don't get refunded your fee that you should get refunded from Amazon, you can go ahead, download this report, contact seller support, show that template, paste it to them, and they will start reimbursing you a lot of money that you're owed. So yeah, but in terms of the actual accounting software, no, do not just use this as the accounting software, but yes, you definitely need this. This is like 15 quid a month or something, whatever. Get this, get Xero, get an accountant, and then focus on actually making sales in your business. My name's Hayden. I hope that helped. See you soon.